Hi, good evening. It's a pleasure to have you here. Let me introduce myself as a speaker for today for this workshop. My name is Zainab Asif, and I am an elementary teacher in American International School. Today, my workshop will focus on different ways how to engage learners in online classes. I'm going to share a link with you for Padlet, and I want you to mark on your country of residence, your name, and your role in the education field. I'm going to share a link with you for Padlet. Please do share your information. Click the link and share your country of residence, your name, and your role in the education field. I've shared the link in the chat box. You can just locate your place there and then let me know your name, where do you belong. Just like an icebreaker activity. I hope you're able to get the link and you're able to share. This is a way how we want to connect with our students as well. When we start the year, we want to know where are they from and what are their interests. Let me move on. Okay, so I've shared a picture of two different classroom systems that we followed. One is the traditional one, and the other one is the one that we now have, the virtual classes. So this is the face-to-face and the virtual classes. Let's look at the picture and see what is different with the education system before and the education system now. It's the same. Teaching and learning is still happening, but then why aren't our students interested like before? Why do we have higher absent students getting absent and lack of commitment from students? What's the problem? Where is the problem and how we can fix it? What you can expect to take away from today's workshop, I have broadly taken up three things that you will be able to we will be able to address through the workshop today. First is the psychology of student engagement. Second, strategies to engage students in a virtual setting. And third is some tools and methods to empower students learning. So as we move on to the next part of the main workshop, you will be able to identify different student engagement levels, how you can provide appropriate strategies to get your students engaged in the virtual setting. Elizabeth F. Barkley has quoted this quote that student engagement is a product of motivation and active learning. And I've taken this very closely because I want to explain and express myself on why we are more keen to motivate kids and get active learning happening inside and online classes to get the maximum student engagement. As you can see on this slide, I have highlighted my two key terms that I am addressing today. First is the student engagement and motivation and how they are related. So let's first talk about motivation because that's the root. What is motivation? If you can answer me in the chat box, what do you think is motivation? What do you know about motivation? Okay, I will see the responses. For me, motivation is like a goal or interest, an interest to achieve something. If you don't have that interest, you will not be able to achieve a goal. If you don't have that, motivation, you won't get your targets or what you need. And what affects motivation for our students? The present scenario that we are talking about after this pandemic effect is like, first, students' life circumstances have changed. Their life is not like before. Some of the families are having financial issues, issues with net connections, not having appropriate support at home, a lot of challenges that they're facing, maybe loneliness, they don't get to meet their friends, a lot of factors, which in turn causes our second factor, which is students dealing with stress and trauma because they are not getting or they're not being able to get what they've always been getting, that environment, that love, that affection. Third is the content that we as educators are giving to our students. Isn't that accessible to them? Because sometimes they are not able to get it in that visual form. They are not able to understand how to access it. A lot of various factors being different styles of learning, different strategies that they were getting when they were in class, and now when they're online, they're not getting that appropriate attention. Students need more structure and support. We have those students in class whom we support in day to day. We know we have that physical touch, physical contact with them, and we are able to help them through those circumstances, which is now a little bit impossible because they are away. So they don't get that structure and support. And your expectations for engagement haven't changed probably because you want your students to be the same. Like before, they were in the class. So some things are changed, like when they're in the class, we give them that time of movement, we encourage them with different activities, they move around, they play, they have certain activities outdoors, which is all not happening now. And sometimes teachers expect students to sit on screen there for attendance, but without understanding that maybe the movement that is happening at home or they are moving away is actually the need for enhancing their learning capabilities. So motivation is a reason or reasons for acting or behaving in a particular way. And now I want to put up a question as how do you motivate your students inside the classroom? Let me share with you the link. It's a Jamboard link and you can share me your opinion or the way you motivate your students. I'm sharing the link in the chat box. I've shared the link for Jamboard. Please tell me, how do you motivate your online students? What are some of the ways that you think work well in your classroom with your online students? I hope you can respond. Just click the link there. It's in the chat box. It would be nice to get your answers and your responses. Okay, let's move on to student engagement. And before I move on to, I dive deep into this student engagement concept, let's see what it means. Student engagement is actually the way students, or the level of students' attention, curiosity, and interest in the material that they are being taught. What kind of interest, or the level of interest that they are having for what you are teaching. I do want to know, how do you continue to support your students who learn and think differently? How do you support them? What are some of the ways that you are supporting your online students who think and learn differently? The different levels or the different ways of learning. I would, if you can, answer in the chat box. Okay, I'll just wait for a minute. Okay, I will wait for your answer. Okay. Let's move on. Going to level of student engagement, we have 5 level of student engagement. I want to share the Edpuzzle video with you, which is one of the interactive ways that I share my YouTube links or lessons with my students. It's got an amazing way to stop and answer questions, to make your videos interactive and not boring. So let's just go quickly through the 5 stages of, or 5 levels of student engagement. The first is rebellion. In this stage, there is divert attention and no commitment. So these are those students who are actually, oh wait, let me try to share, if I can share my screen. I do want you to see this. Okay. Yeah. This is the short video, and it has got levels of engagement. And why we should know, we'll talk about it after this video.
Well, here's where Shlekti's levels of engagement becomes helpful. It provides a useful framework for thinking about what it means for students to be genuinely engaged in their learning. Shlekti defines it this way. Engagement is active. It requires the students to be attentive as well as in attendance. It requires students to be committed to the task and find some inherent value in what he or she is being asked to do. The engaged student not only does the task assigned, but also does the task with enthusiasm and diligence.
Okay, according to his theory, what do you think makes sure students are genuinely engaged in their learning? Students are attentive, students are committed to and find value in the task, students complete the task with enthusiasm and diligence, or all of the above. So if I'm sharing this puzzle link with my students, I am able to get the report of their answers. Right now, I'm just sharing it as a video. So yes, students should be attentive, they should be committed and valued, and they should complete their task with enthusiasm. You only don't want them to do it because for the sake of it. So it's all of the above.
In 2002, Philip Schlechte developed a framework for thinking about student engagement based on two core ideas of attention and commitment. At the bottom, you have rebellion, which involves diverted attention and no commitment to the task. This is the student who seems to be acting out and causing disruptions, and as a result, they fail to learn from the task. Next, you have retreatism with no attention and no commitment. Unlike the rebellion, this student in retreat is not actively disrupting the learning, but instead seems to be kind of checked out. This student is often distracted and emotionally withdrawn from the task, and as a result, this student learns little or nothing from the task. At the next level, you have ritual compliance. This involves both low attention and low commitment. Unlike retreatism, a ritually compliant student doesn't completely check out, but instead is doing the bare minimum to avoid confrontation. This student will learn at a low level, and the task will not be retained over time. Next is strategic compliance. Often this looks like engagement because the student might be performing at a high level, but it's not. Here the student has high attention on the task, but low commitment to what he or she is doing. This is the student who is playing the game of school, focused on things like grades, parental approval, rewards, and class rank. But the learning isn't intrinsically rewarding, and as a result, this student will often learn at a high level, but fails to retain the learning over time or transfer it to a new context.
So what are the two core ideas of his engagement framework? What two core ideas are we supposed to look into? Attention and intelligence, intelligence and effort, reading level and effort, and attention and commitment. Again, if I'm sharing this with my students, I will be able to get their answer and see if they've really watched the video or it will make them rewatch it. So attention and commitment, you want them to perform like with enthusiasm. You don't want them to do just for the sake of it. You want them to be lifelong learners.
And then finally, you have engagement. This requires both high attention and high.
So if you see, there are 5 levels of student engagement, and we need to know which level our students stand in so that we can actually see what interest do they have and how we can adapt ways in our lessons or in our learning structure, teaching structure, which will give them the opportunity to be lifelong learners.
Commitment. Here a student completely buys in out of a strong sense of intrinsic motivation, and this includes meaning and choice and challenge. This student will continue focusing even when the task gets more complex and challenging, and often they're going to choose to learn even when it is ungraded. This student will learn at a deep level, and the transfer will continue to new contexts. And this is why it's important that we as teachers focus on how to make the subject intrinsically engaging.
They need to know how we need to know how we can build that natural interest in the students for the subject or for the content.
And this happens when we tap into student curiosity and creativity and purpose. And when this happens, students are more likely to grow into passionate, lifelong learners.
This is just a video to share the levels of engagement. Let me go back to my presentation. So we know that there are 5 levels of student engagement, and we need to know how we have to progress those kids to get that higher engagement level or maximum engagement level in order to progress with our teaching. Now, I have here 3 types of student engagement: behavioral, cognitive, and emotional engagement. We're going to see how each one differs. First one is interaction with others, participation in learning activities. That comes under behavioral engagement. Attitudes, interests, and values and sense of belonging comes under emotional engagement. And motivation, persistence, and deep processing of information comes with cognitive engagement. Strategies for student engagement. So I have broadly outlined 5 strategies that we need to follow in order to get maximum student engagement in our classrooms. First being building strong relationship, engaging introductory activities, the second one, interactive lessons for the third one, timely feedback and appreciation for the fourth one, and fifth one being gamifying your learning. Let's look into each one. First, building strong relationship. How can we build strong relationship with those students who we might have not even met once? That's really tricky sometimes. When I started my classes last year, I was just not sure if I'm going to be able to create that love and interest in students for me. So I think the first thing that we need to do when we begin our academic year or we begin our journey with our students, we need to build that deep care, love, and interest for students. Building strong relationship, I usually do morning check-ins, which is a little time of your day that you allot, probably maybe 15 minutes even, to see how they're feeling, if they're ready for learning today, and if they have something that they want to share. So it's advisable that you spend 15 minutes of your first part of the day or initial part of the day with students, interacting with them to know that you care, to show them that care and love. You could share an interactive student attendance Google slide probably, or any other way, where students might pick their own picture and then put it on those boxes to say that they are already there. When they take their own attendance, they are accountable. So they will be able to get that ownership in their learning. Go Noodle. We need to enhance physical movement in classroom when we are beginning our lessons to just get that interest, whether it's for younger or older kids. Maybe you could create scavenger hunt or some sort of movement activity that might begin their day. I also like to I strongly follow the breakout rooms because that gives me a chance to build personal relationships with students in small groups, give them personal attention. I'm able to hear each one of them, and in turn, they are also able to interact with each other. The major issues that I was facing initially was that the students are not able to communicate with each other. They are not able to talk. So you give them that space where they can feel that they are in the classroom and they feel that belongingness. Next one, engaging introductory activities. Introductory activities are actually the hook of the lesson. Like I would say the fish, if it gets stuck in the hook, you have the entire fish for yourself and then you can do whatever you want. So if your lesson hook is interesting, you will have the students there throughout and you will be able to get them do what you want. I use spin wheel activities where I put in some questions related to the topic. You may use Padlet for KWL charts or Nearpod for collaboration, where they can actually input what they know and then maybe give a like or feedback, a like to each other's comments. And there are many other activities. Again, you could introduce scavenger hunt. You can show a problem while that they can come up with a solution. You may start with some story and give a connection. Third one is interactive lessons. Students might get bored if you are the one talking, so you need to make your lessons as much as interactive. You could use Bitmoji classrooms, very familiar. Give them the feeling that they're already in the classroom. Put them clickables, make the environment, the virtual environment, same like your classroom environment, and they will feel the ownership. Online quizzes, make quizzes more interesting. Use different sites like Kahoot, Quizzes, Quizalize, Socrative, which are different sites that you can use to make your quizzes more interactive. Drag and drop activities works with elder and younger students. You can make a slide with questions, differentiation, and then they could just drag and drop those. This helps them to get the concept much better for those visual learners. Flipgrid video responses. You can ask your students to actually record themselves doing something, or probably record their feedback, maybe an answer, maybe an opinion, maybe create debate. They can actually comment on each other's responses as well. So it's a fun way, especially now when the kids really love recording themselves for different social platforms. Interactive worksheets, live worksheets, Google Forms, Microsoft Forms might give them a chance to change from that traditional worksheet format and give them a new look. Interactive presentations. We've got variety of interactive presentation sites like ClassCake, ClassPoint. Nearpod is one of my favorite. It's got various activities even in the free account. You can actually put the whole presentation on a Nearpod, make it interactive, use matching activities, a lot of visual aids that you can use there. And it also gives you comprehensive reports where your students stand. Such platforms give you a choice, and they also encourage. They also are a way of differentiating. Timely feedback and appreciation. I wouldn't want to do any sort of work if I'm not appreciated on time, or if I don't have a feedback. It's always important for you to check your students' work on time, give them a feedback, give them a proper feedback, a constructive one with next steps, give them a pathway of learning. You could award points, badges, 2 stars and a wish, display their work. You can have a virtual display board and display their work there. You can even give digital certificates or badges. This will appreciate them and they might want to do it better next time. Giving them a proper feedback will actually tell them where they are and where they need to go. Gamifying your learning being the last one. I don't have to talk about it a lot because we know how students are interested if it is a challenge-based learning. You could use different apps for gamifying their experience. Kahoot, ClassDojo. You can even have scoreboards displayed. They always want to get the best one. Maybe you can send online certificates and rewards to the students. You can give them SMART goals. Create a ladder of learning. They need to know where they stand and how they can progress through the whole journey. Next slide, I'm going to show you some of my own display work. If you see here, I've displayed my map goals. The kids choose their own nicknames, and they are the ones who will go and plug in the stars to where they stand and where they have to be. Not giving their own name being the reason that they don't want to feel embarrassed if they're not performing well. So they just choose their name and then progress through the ladder. If you see the platforms like Kahoot and Nearpod actually give that visual scoreboard. That works great inside my classroom. Make your presentations more like game-based, something like this. Just to end your lesson, questions there, like which is the largest continent in the world. Give them challenge. I also have a short quiz, and I'm going to share you the link for that. I'll just share a link. If you can participate in the quizzes, I'll just wait. You can click the link and participate. This is how I usually end my lesson, with some small questions, short questions in there, and then I will just give them this time where they are answering. And at the end, we have the scoreboard. We're going to check who's the first one, who's the second one, and then the incentives. Let's just start. Thank you, Habib, who's just joined for quizzes. Thank you so much. If there's anyone, just share, just join through the link. You will be able to access the quizzes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Isra, for joining. I feel so happy. I have some audience who really took interest in the whole workshop. Thank you so much. I'm going to show you my screen, how it would look like for the students. That's how it would look for the students. Their names will appear, and once they finish answering, there will be a scoreboard and they will be able to see where they stand. So the next time they feel more excited about it. Okay. From my classroom, something that I really wanted to share of some successful ways that work really well, and I have my students really excited for all my lessons. First is I have student volunteers at the beginning of the year, and by the end, I just choose randomly, and everyone's so prepared to do these presentations, you know, becoming little teachers. So preparing, my student volunteers would prepare presentations for a flipped classroom where I share the topic with them. They try to give the presentation, and they could actually, I'm talking about, yeah, I'm just talking about 6-year-old kids who can actually share their screen, talk to their friends, answer questions, and do the whole lesson. And that way they would earn badges, certificates, or incentives. Initially, I had some role models who would come forward and do it, but later on at the end of the year, I could actually see many of them wanted to participate for the same. So flipped classroom was amazing. It would help you to bring out those students from out of the shell and give them that feeling of belongingness. Providing a choice board menu for different student activities based on their interest. I would always give a choice board for my students where they would pick the activity that they like to choose and then do it for themselves. So giving a choice board will actually add in all the kinds of learners, and they would choose what interests them the most. Students recording the whole STEM project process or any activity that they're doing, and they upload on Padlet. And after that, they are giving feedback to each other, peer feedback. They would even ask next steps for each other later on. So when they recorded the whole process, and that's how actually we could even grade, because grading shouldn't be only paper pen based or just getting them out of those few questions that you are asking. But this is a way I would even degrade my students, because I know they can do wonders beyond the classroom examinations. Connect topics to real life, which increases student focus and interest. When they see something that's actually happening around them and which is connected, they feel excited to get involved more, know more, and then finally you create a bunch of critical thinkers there. Like I had a topic about length and measurement, and I gave them a Google Map um, screenshot and told them which way would I take to reach faster. So they could actually apply those skills of compare, contrast, length, and they could see why we use Google Map. So did you see? It was really exciting to have them there. Assign job roles as you would do in the classroom. So I would assign job roles for my students: attendance recorder, mic controller, leader, and then every day they're excited who's going to be the next one. I'd give options, and I would choose those ones who are like the backbenchers in my classroom. They've never been out, so I would choose them, try to encourage them to take that job role, and that way they feel the interest, the belongingness, and you will see eventually that your students are really focused, finding out that it's going to be like they feel excited to come in there. They know that you value and you care about them, rather than always choosing those students who are coming forward. I would later on choose students who've never talked to me, even personally talking to them. Arrange a meeting even for 5 minutes and just let them know you're there, you care for them. You don't know what's happening out there behind that screen. The best way to show care and concern is talking outside the classroom. They really enjoy. They talk about their good or bad moments, new pets, occasions, or some celebration that happened. Give them some time to talk. They want tell it to you. They want to share it with you like they would do inside. And if they're not, you go and you approach. You ask them some questions. You let them know you're there. You care for them, and they are valuable. Thank you so much for attending my workshop, and these are the ways that you can connect with me if you have any questions that I can answer, or if any way, or if any opinion that you want to have about my workshop, giving a short feedback, please do let me know. I will be more than happy to answer them. If there's anything, please do let me know through the chat box. Anything that you did not agree with, any question that you have, I'm more than happy to share my opinion. Anyone? Okay, I hope you found something interesting and you take away something new from my workshop. If there's some part of the workshop that you really want me to repeat or you want me to address, I'll be more than happy. Thank you so much, Allah. That's so kind of you. That gives me an encouragement again to work on more sessions. Thank you so much. Thank you for being there as well. I'm still here. If there's something that you want me to answer, I'll be more than happy. Something that you did not understand or something that you did not agree. It was a pleasure to have this session with all of you. I hope it has been some way or the other useful. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day ahead.